The sun rose slowly over the green forests of Velis, casting golden light on the treetops. Birds sang, and a soft wind moved through the leaves, carrying the smell of flowers and damp earth. In a small, cozy house near the edge of the forest, 3 girls were waking up. Their names were Anya, Lyra, and Mara, and they were sisters. Though they were just children, there was something special about them. People in the nearby village often whispered about the girls and their mother, Katerina. Katerina was not like other mothers. She had lived on Velis for many years, raising her daughters with love and care. She taught them about nature, stories from the old earth, and strange things that most people would call magic. People in the village called her the wise woman of Veles, but some older villagers whispered even darker stories. They said she was the Baba Yaga, a powerful being from the legends of Earth who could bend nature and reality with her will. Katerina never confirmed the rumors, and the girls had grown up thinking of their mother as kind, strong, and mysterious. The girls ran down the wooden stairs of their house, giggling and arguing over breakfast. "Anya, you always take the last piece of bread," Lyra said, frowning. "I didn't." "You weren't looking," Anya replied, grabbing a piece with a mischievous smile. Mara, the youngest, watched quietly. She loved listening to her sister's arguments, even if she sometimes didn't understand why they were so serious about small things. Katerina appeared in the kitchen, her long dark hair falling over her shoulders. She wore a simple dress, but there was a quiet power in the way she carried herself. She poured hot tea into mugs and looked at the girls with a soft, loving smile. "Eat quickly," she said. "The forest waits for you today." The girls finished breakfast and ran outside, their bare feet touching the soft grass. They loved the forest. It was full of life, birds, small animals, flowers of every color, and tall trees that seemed to touch the sky. The girls often played games there, pretending to be explorers or warriors. Today, however, something felt different. The air was heavy and the birds were silent. Mara noticed it first. She paused, tilting her head, and whispered, "Something is coming." Anya laughed. "Stop being so serious, Mara. It's just a normal day." Lyra looked around carefully. "No, she's right. I don't like this. The wind smells strange." Katerina, who had been standing quietly nearby, felt it too. Her heart beat faster. From the sky, faint shapes appeared, almost invisible at first. Small silver objects hovered above the forest. They moved in a pattern that was too organized to be natural. Katerina's eyes narrowed. She didn't need to speak to know what was happening. The Galactic Empire had found them. She bent down to whisper to her daughters, "Listen to me carefully. Stay calm, stay close. You must trust me." The girls looked at her, confused. "But Mother," Anya started. "No questions now," Katerina said firmly. "Just follow my instructions." The Empire had been spreading across the galaxy for decades. They were ruthless and powerful, taking over planets and enslaving species. But humans were rare in this part of space. The Empire believed that humans had hidden abilities, and that's why they had sent scouts to find them. They didn't know about Katerina yet, but they would soon learn, and they would regret it. The silver shapes in the sky grew larger. They were not birds, not planes. They were Empire ships, sleek and dark, with glowing red lights. Shadows from the ships fell over the forest. The girls stopped playing. Their hearts pounded in fear. Katerina stood tall, her calm face hiding the storm inside. She raised her hand slightly, and the air around them shimmered faintly. The forest seemed to lean closer, as if it were listening to her. "Girls, run to the house. Stay inside. Do exactly what I say," she instructed. The girls ran, their feet barely touching the ground as they rushed back to the safety of their home. Katerina followed, moving faster than any normal human could. Her eyes glowed faintly green, and the ground beneath her seemed to ripple with energy. The first ship descended, its engines humming like a low, threatening drum. Soldiers appeared, stepping out of the craft in tall metallic suits. They had weapons that could vaporize a tree with a single shot. They scanned the forest, looking for life forms. Katerina faced them, her hands rising as the air around her thickened. The soldiers saw her and hesitated. Something about her was unnatural, but they did not recognize her fully. They only knew one thing: she was human and humans were to be captured. Suddenly, Katerina moved. Faster than the eye could follow, she raised her arms and the forest seemed to come alive. Roots shot out from the ground, twisting and turning like serpents. Trees bent, forming walls to block the soldiers. The wind swirled into sharp gusts, knocking drones out of the sky. Anya, Lyra, and Mara peeked from behind a tree, their mouths open in awe and fear. "Mother," Lyra whispered. The soldiers tried to fight back. Energy beams shot from their weapons, slicing through trees and rocks, but Katerina's power was too strong. She raised her hand and the beams bent away, turning harmlessly into sparks. One soldier managed to get close, aiming his weapon at the girls. Katerina's eyes flashed. With a wave of her hand, the soldier was thrown backward, landing safely but unconscious. Her power was terrifying but controlled. She was not cruel. She was protecting her daughters. After a tense moment, the girls realized something important. Their mother was not just wise or strong. She was a legend, a real-life Baba Yaga. And now they understood that the stories they had heard as children were true. Katerina lowered her arms. The forest quieted again, but she knew this was only the beginning. The Empire would return stronger and with more ships. She turned to her daughters, her face serious. "You must learn," she said softly. "There is a power inside you. The Empire will try to take it. If they succeed, they will not stop until all of humanity is under their control. But you are human, and humans are strong." Anya, Lyra, and Mara looked at each other. They were scared, but they also felt a strange sense of pride. Their mother was extraordinary, and somehow they would be extraordinary too. The girls spent the rest of the day helping Katerina prepare the house and the forest for what was coming. They hid supplies, set small traps, and learned that the forest could be their ally. Katerina did not yet reveal their powers fully, but she showed them small lessons: how to move silently, how to sense danger, and how to listen to the world around them. As night fell, the stars appeared, sparkling over Velis. The Empire's ships were gone for now, but Katerina knew they would return. She hugged her daughters close. "Sleep now," she whispered. "Tomorrow we begin to awaken." The girls went to bed, their minds racing with questions and excitement. For the first time, they understood that their lives were not ordinary. They were part of something much bigger, something dangerous, something incredible. The sun had barely risen over the forest of Velis when Katerina sensed movement in the sky. The wind whispered warnings through the treetops, carrying the smell of strange metals and fire. She knew the Empire had returned, and this time they were not just scouts. Anya, Lyra, and Mara were awake, their small faces pressed against the window. Their eyes widened as they saw the first fleet of Empire ships descending. Dozens of silver and black craft moved with deadly precision. Their red lights cut through the morning mist like knives. "They are coming," Katerina said softly, her voice calm but firm. She did not need to explain further. The girls had learned to trust her instincts. The ships landed outside the forest, kicking up dust and debris. Alien soldiers poured out, their armor glinting under the weak sunlight. Their weapons were large, strange, and humming with energy. They moved with discipline, scanning for life forms. Katerina led her daughters outside, stepping lightly on the mossy ground. She held their hands, her grip steady and reassuring. "Stay close. Remember what I taught you," she said. The girls nodded. Their fear was strong, but they felt a new strength too, one they had never known before. The Empire soldiers approached, raising their weapons. One of them spoke in a harsh, mechanical voice. "Human life forms detected. Capture them alive. Resistance will be eliminated." Katerina's eyes narrowed. She raised her hands and the air around them shimmered with faint green light. The forest itself seemed to breathe, trees bending slightly as if listening to her will. "Leave this place," she said, her voice carrying a strange power, "or face the consequences." The soldiers laughed, a cold and metallic sound. They fired their weapons. Energy blasts ripped through the forest, splitting trees and sending birds fleeing. The girls ducked behind Katerina, holding on to her tightly. Then, with a movement that seemed almost impossible, Katerina struck back. She waved her hands and roots burst from the ground like living snakes. They wrapped around the soldiers' legs, pulling them to the ground. Trees bent, forming massive shields that absorbed the enemy fire. The wind rose, carrying leaves and branches like sharp blades. The girls watched in awe. Their mother, the Baba Yaga, was more powerful than any story had ever told. One soldier managed to break free and charge toward the girls. Katerina's hand shot out and a bolt of energy struck the soldier. He fell unconscious, unharmed, but defeated. Anya whispered, "Mother, you're amazing." Katerina smiled briefly but did not relax. Amazing is not enough, she said. We must survive. They will not stop. The battle escalated quickly. The soldiers split into groups trying to surround Katerina and the girls. Drones flew overhead firing precise energy beams. Katerina countered with her powers, but she realized that brute force alone would not win this fight. Strategy was needed. Girls, she said, kneeling to look them in the eyes, I will show you something. You must remember it. You must be ready. She placed her hands on each of their heads. A warm energy flowed into them. The girls gasped as visions filled their minds, glowing lights, moving shapes, and strange, powerful forces. They felt something awakening inside them, a spark of power that was theirs waiting to grow. You have gifts, Katerina said. The Empire wants to take them, but if we work together, we can stop them. The girls felt a mix of fear and excitement. They had never imagined that they were capable of anything like this. Suddenly, a group of soldiers broke through the forest edge. They aimed directly at the girls. Katerina acted instantly. With a wave of her hand, the ground beneath the soldiers erupted. The earth opened like a living trap, swallowing the soldiers' feet and holding them fast. Lyra stepped forward without thinking. She stretched out her hands and called softly, "Help us!" From the trees and bushes, animals began to emerge. Deer, wolves, and even birds swooped down, confusing the soldiers. Lyra's eyes widened in surprise. The connection she felt with the forest and the creatures in it was real. She could call on them and they would listen. Anya felt a heat rising in her chest. She raised her hands and a glowing shield of energy appeared around them, protecting them from the next volley of fire. The shield was strong, bending the energy blasts harmlessly around them. Mara's eyes flickered as she saw flashes of the future, paths the soldiers would take, where danger would come from next. She pointed, warning her sisters. To the left now! The three girls moved as one, guided by their mother and their new abilities. Katerina smiled faintly. Good, you are learning fast. The battle raged for hours. Katerina, her daughters, and the forest itself fought together, outsmarting and overpowering the Empire soldiers. But Katerina knew that their small victory was temporary. The Empire would return stronger with more ships and weapons. She led the girls deeper into the forest to a hidden valley known only to her. Here they would be safe for a short time. Small waterfalls and thick trees formed natural barriers. The girls could finally rest. Mother, Anya said, sitting down and catching her breath. Why do they want us? We're just us. Katerina looked at her daughters with seriousness. Because humans are strong. Because humans can adapt and survive when others fail. The Empire fears what they cannot control. And they fear your powers, Lyra shivered. But what if we can't fight them? You can, Katerina said firmly. You will. Humans have a strength that even the Empire cannot understand. Courage, creativity, and hope. These are our true weapons. The girls looked at each other. They still felt scared, but something inside them was growing. A determination to fight, to protect each other and to stand for their people. Night fell, and the stars appeared above Velis. The forest was quiet again, but Katerina did not lower her guard. She set small magical wards around the valley, invisible to the eye but powerful enough to detect any approaching danger. Tomorrow, she said, we begin your real training. You must learn to use your gifts. The Empire will not wait, and neither can we. The girls lay on the soft grass looking up at the sky. Despite the fear, a sense of wonder filled them. They had seen the true power of their mother. They had felt their own powers beginning to awaken. And they had realized that the galaxy was much larger, more dangerous and more incredible than they had ever imagined. Katerina watched over them as they slept. She remembered the stories of her own mother, the legends of the old Earth Baba Yaga. Those powers had been passed down through generations. Now it was her turn to teach and the girls' turn to rise. Somewhere far above the forest, the Empire fleet regrouped. Their commanders communicated in cold, precise tones. The humans are stronger than we expected, one of them said. But we will return. We will not fail. Katerina knew this. She had fought enemies before, but never one as vast and relentless as the Galactic Empire. Yet she also knew something else. Humans never gave up. And with her daughters by her side, she had a new strength. The calm valley became a sanctuary, a place of learning, and a fortress of hope. But the world outside was waiting, full of danger and adventure. And the girls who had once played in the forest without care were no longer ordinary. They were human. They were brave. They were beginning to understand what it truly meant to be defenders of their kind. As the first light of dawn touched the trees, Katerina whispered, "Get ready, my daughters. The real battle is coming." The morning sun filtered through the thick trees of the hidden valley, casting golden light on the damp moss and sparkling streams. Katerina woke her daughters early. Today, she said, they would begin training, not just to survive, but to fight back. The girls rubbed their eyes and followed their mother. The valley, quiet and peaceful, now seemed alive with expectation. Birds chirped softly, small animals peeked from the bushes, and even the wind seemed to listen. "Today you begin to understand what it means to be human," Katerina said, her eyes serious. "Not just ordinary humans, but humans with power. The Empire thinks we are weak. They are wrong." Anya, the oldest, spoke first. "But Mother, what if we can't do it? What if we fail?" Katerina smiled softly. "Then you try again. Humans never stop. You will learn and you will grow. But first you must listen to the forest, to yourselves and to each other." The girls nodded. They had seen their mother's power, but they had never used their own. Today, that would change. Anya's power, energy manipulation. Katerina led the girls to a clearing. Sunlight streamed down in golden beams. "Anya, you will begin," she said. "Focus on what you feel inside. Energy comes from your courage, your will, and your heart. Reach out and it will respond." Anya hesitated. She had felt a strange warmth in her chest during the battle yesterday, a feeling she did not understand. Now she closed her eyes and concentrated. She imagined a shield around her sisters, protecting them from danger. A faint glow appeared around her hands. Then slowly a soft barrier of shimmering light expanded in front of her. The girls gasped. Leaves and small twigs hovered in the air, caught in the invisible field. "Good," Katerina said. "Keep it steady. Breathe with it. Let it grow, but do not let it control you." Anya practiced for hours. She learned to expand the shield, bend it around objects, and even move small things with the energy. By the end of the morning, she could create a protective bubble that could shield all three girls from a small attack. Her heart raced. For the first time, she felt truly powerful. But she also understood responsibility. Power was not for play. It was for protection. Lyra's power. Communication with nature. After Anya, Katerina turned to Lyra. "You are connected to the forest. You can speak to the creatures and the spirits here. But you must learn patience. Listen first, then ask. Nature will answer." Lyra knelt on the soft grass. She closed her eyes and reached out with her mind. At first, nothing happened. But then she felt it. A gentle heartbeat in the trees, a soft pulse of life around her. She whispered, "I need your help. Protect us. Show me what to do." A flock of birds flew overhead, forming a protective circle. Small animals appeared, moving in patterns that warned of hidden dangers. Even the wind shifted, carrying scents and sounds that only she could understand. Lyra's eyes widened. "Mother, it works. They are listening." "Yes," Katerina said. "You are their friend and their ally. Use this gift wisely. You can call on them in battle, but you must never command them with anger or fear. They are part of the world, not your servants." Lyra spent the day learning to communicate with the forest. She could feel the presence of creatures far away, sense threats before they arrived, and even guide animals to help her sisters in training. By evening, she could summon a small pack of wolves to guard the valley and signal danger before it came. Mara's power. Sight of the future. Mara, the youngest, struggled the most at first. Katerina knelt beside her, holding her tiny hands. "Patience," she said. "Your gift is not about strength. It is about perception. You can see paths, possibilities, and dangers before they happen. But it will not come all at once. Focus and trust what you feel." Mara closed her eyes. Her mind was full of images, trees, animals, and flashes of red lights. At first it was confusing, but slowly she learned to separate the visions to focus on what was important. When Anya and Lyra practiced with her, Mara pointed and said, "Move left." "There's danger there!" At first the girls didn't understand, but when they shifted, a large branch fell where Mara had predicted. "Good," Katerina said. "You are learning to see the future, but it is not fixed. You can only glimpse possibilities. You must act wisely and trust your sisters as well. By the end of the day, Mara could anticipate small events in the valley. A bird flying too close, a branch breaking, or a sudden gust of wind. She could warn her sisters, giving them time to react and forming a crucial part of their teamwork. A day of practice and growth. The girls trained from sunrise to sunset. They ran through the forest, dodging branches and weaving between trees while holding protective shields. Lyra summoned animals to aid them in obstacle courses, and Mara called out warnings before traps could even trigger. Katerina watched proudly. Her daughters were learning quickly. Each had a different gift, but together, they were becoming a force to be reckoned with. "You are ready for your first real test," Katerina said as the sun began to set. "The Empire will not wait. They will come again. Tonight we fight not for practice, but for survival." The girls shivered with fear, but they also felt excitement. This was the moment they had been waiting for, the chance to see their powers in action. The Empire returns. As darkness fell, red lights appeared on the horizon. The Empire had sent a scouting force to find the girls' hidden valley. Katerina and her daughters hid among the trees, using the shadows and their powers to stay unseen. Anya raised a shield around them, invisible to the enemy, but solid enough to block laser fire. Lyra called on a group of deer and wolves to create confusion, sending them running through the path of the soldiers. Mara watched carefully, whispering directions to her sisters. The soldiers advanced cautiously, unaware that every move they made had been anticipated. One soldier aimed a weapon at the girl's hiding spot, but Anya expanded her shield, deflecting the blast. The beam hit a tree and splintered harmlessly. Lyra's animals darted through the underbrush, tripping soldiers and pulling equipment out of their hands. Mara shouted warnings, and the girls moved as one, striking strategically. The battle was brief but intense. The Empire scouts realized that the humans were not ordinary. They reported back to their fleet. "The humans, they are more powerful than we expected. Their mother is extraordinary. We cannot underestimate them." Katerina looked at her daughters, pride shining in her eyes. "You did well," she said softly. "This is only the beginning. You will face greater challenges, but today you have learned to trust your power and each other." The girls smiled at each other, their fear replaced with determination. They were no longer children hiding from danger. They were humans rising to meet it. Night in the valley. As the moon rose, the valley was calm again. Katerina set wards around the perimeter, ensuring the Empire could not sneak close without detection. The girls lay beside her, exhausted but happy. "Mother," Lyra asked, "will the Empire come back with more ships?" "Yes," Katerina replied, "but we are ready. Humans are clever and humans are brave. We may be outnumbered, but we are not weak, and together, we are unstoppable." The sisters held hands, feeling the warmth of their bond. Their powers, their courage, and their trust in each other had grown in a single day. They had survived the Empire's attack, and in doing so they had discovered something even more important. They could face anything, as long as they stood together. The stars above sparkled in silent approval. Somewhere far away, the Empire fleet regrouped, preparing for the next attack. But Katerina and her daughters were ready. The battle was far from over, but so was hope. For the first time, the girls truly understood their mother's legend. She was not just a wise woman. She was the Baba Yaga, the protector, the warrior, and the guide. And now they were learning to carry that legacy forward. The forest whispered again, carrying a promise on the wind. Humanity would not bow. Humanity would fight, and humanity would rise. The forest of Velis was calm at first light, but the tension was thick. Katerina knew the Empire would return with full force. The scouts' report from the previous night had warned them. Humans were not ordinary, and their powers were growing. Now the Empire sent a strike force, hundreds of soldiers and advanced ships determined to capture or destroy the girls and their mother. Katerina woke her daughters early. The three girls, now more confident in their abilities, felt a mix of fear and excitement. Today the true test of their training would begin. "Remember," Katerina said, looking at each of them, "we are not just fighting to survive. We are showing the Empire the strength of humanity. Use your gifts wisely, trust each other, and never forget the forest is your ally." Anya, Lyra, and Mara nodded. Each had grown in skill and courage over the past days. Anya's energy shields could bend and move with precision. Lyra could summon and communicate with animals and spirits of the forest. Mara could anticipate danger and see glimpses of possible futures. Together they were ready. The Empire arrives by mid-morning, the sky darkened with the approaching fleet. The Empire ships were large, sleek, and ominous, their red lights slicing through the mist. Soldiers dropped to the forest floor with precise coordination, weapons ready, scanning for life signs. Katerina raised her hands. The forest responded. Trees bent, roots twisted, and the ground seemed alive. A massive gust of wind blew leaves and debris, forming a barrier between the humans and the Empire. Anya created a large shield, invisible but strong enough to block multiple energy blasts at once. Lyra called upon the forest animals, deer, wolves, and birds, to flank the soldiers, creating confusion and delay. Mara watched carefully, her eyes flickering as she predicted enemy movements, pointing out where soldiers would step, or where danger would strike next. "Remember," Katerina shouted over the noise, "we are humans, clever and brave. Use every advantage. The Empire cannot match our unity and creativity." The first clash. The first group of soldiers charged through the trees, weapons blazing. Anya held her shield, bending the blasts harmlessly away. Lyra's summoned wolves blocked the path, biting and tripping soldiers without causing lethal harm. Mara shouted warnings, guiding her sisters and the forest animals to avoid traps and ambushes. Katerina moved through the battlefield like a force of nature. Her powers were astounding. She could shift trees to block laser fire, send roots rising to trap soldiers, and even manipulate the ground beneath the enemy to throw them off balance. Her daughters watched in awe, realizing the true extent of their mother's abilities. A soldier tried to flank the girls, moving quickly through the underbrush. Katerina's eyes glowed green, and with a flick of her hand, a large branch swung down, knocking him off his feet. The girls gasped. The Empire had underestimated them, and now they were paying the price. Anya's courage, Anya, faced a group of soldiers advancing directly toward the girls. She raised her hands, creating a dome-shaped shield. It shimmered with golden light. The soldiers fired repeatedly, but every blast bent harmlessly around her. The shield grew, moving with her as she ran, protecting the group from multiple angles. Anya felt a surge of pride and responsibility. She realized that her gift was not just about defense, it was about saving lives. She guided the shield, pushing soldiers back and allowing her mother and sisters to move safely through the battlefield. Lyra's command of nature, Lyra, concentrated on the forest. Birds swooped down, blinding sensors on the enemy suits. Wolves and deer ran through the enemy lines, tripping and distracting them. Even the wind and leaves seemed to follow her commands, scratching at visors and throwing off aim. A small group of soldiers tried to trap the girls in a narrow pass. Lyra called out, and the trees bent, forming walls and channels to redirect them. The soldiers were forced to split up, losing coordination. Lyra smiled. Her bond with nature was stronger than she had ever imagined. Mara's visions became crucial. She predicted the Empire's moves seconds before they happened. She pointed, shouted, and directed her sisters, warning them of traps and ambushes. "Left. Branch, duck!" she cried. An energy blast struck the spot she had pointed out, harmlessly destroying a small tree instead of hitting the girls. Her prediction saved them multiple times, proving that foresight was as powerful as strength. The turning point. The battle continued for hours. The Empire soldiers were disciplined and well-trained, but they could not match the combination of human ingenuity, Katerina's power, and the girls' abilities. The forest itself fought alongside them. Katerina raised her arms and called upon the full force of her Baba Yaga power. The earth shifted beneath the soldiers' feet, trapping them in place. Trees twisted and moved like living creatures, blocking pathways and forcing the soldiers into vulnerable positions. Energy blasts fired at her daughters were absorbed or deflected by her mother's magic. Finally, Katerina faced the Empire commander. He was tall, imposing and armored, with weapons that could destroy entire sections of the forest. He sneered. "You are clever, human, but you cannot defeat the Empire. Surrender or die." Katerina's eyes glowed brighter than ever. "Humans do not surrender, we fight, and we survive." With a wave of her hand, she created a tornado of light and energy, pulling the commander's soldiers off balance. Ships above began firing, but she bent the beams like threads of light, redirecting them harmlessly into the ground. The Empire forces were trapped, overwhelmed, and disoriented. The girls in action, Anya pushed her shield outward, protecting the group as they advanced toward the remaining soldiers. Lyra summoned wolves and deer to drive enemies back. Mara called out warnings and predictions, keeping everyone one step ahead of danger. Together, the three girls and their mother moved like a single, unstoppable unit. The Empire had never faced humans like this, humans who could combine strategy, powers, and courage in ways no machine or weapon could match. The Empire commander tried one last desperate attack, aiming his energy weapon at Katerina. She raised her hand and the beam bent around her, striking his own troops instead. The commander fell to his knees, realizing he had underestimated the humans completely. Victory by nightfall, the battle was over. The Empire forces retreated, regrouping in their ships far above the forest. Katerina and her daughter stood in the clearing, breathing heavily but victorious. The forest around them was damaged but alive. Animals returned to the area, sensing that the humans were victorious. The girls looked at their mother with awe. They had faced the Empire directly and survived. They had used their gifts in real combat, saving themselves, each other, and even the forest. "You did well," Katerina said, embracing them.
"Today you became true defenders of humanity."
"Remember this moment. Remember your strength. And remember that together we are unstoppable." Anya smiled. "We really did it, didn't we?" Lyra nodded, her eyes sparkling. "We can protect each other. And everyone else too." Mara, still catching her breath, whispered, "I knew we could. I just didn't know how much we could do." Katerina held them close. "The Empire will return stronger and more determined, but we have shown them that humans are not weak. And one day they will learn that no army can crush the spirit of humanity." The calm. After the storm, as the moon rose over the forest, the girls sat with their mother by a small stream. They were tired, dirty, and sore, but proud. They had faced a formidable enemy and emerged victorious. Katerina looked at her daughters. "The battle is not over. The Empire is vast, and they will try again. But we have proven something important today. Humans can rise, humans can fight, and humans can survive, even against impossible odds." The girls held hands, feeling the bond between them stronger than ever. They had discovered their powers, learned to work as a team, and faced an enemy that many would have considered unbeatable. The stars twinkled above Velis, silent witnesses to a family who had changed the course of a battle, and perhaps the galaxy. The forest whispered again, carrying a message on the wind. Humans are not weak. Humans endure. Humans rise. The sun rose slowly over the forest of Velis, bathing the valley in warm golden light. The battle with the Galactic Empire was over, for now. The Empire had retreated, regrouping somewhere far away, but the girls and their mother knew that victory was not the end. It was the beginning of a journey that would shape the future of humanity. Katerina walked through the valley, her daughters close behind her. The forest was quiet, but the air carried a sense of life, of balance restored. Animals slowly returned to the area, birds singing, small creatures peeking from the underbrush. The forest had survived just as they had. "You did well," Katerina said softly, her hand brushing Anya's hair. "You all did. Today you faced the Empire and showed them the strength of humanity." Anya, the oldest, nodded, her eyes bright. "I never knew I could do this. I never knew I had this power inside me." "That power," Katerina said, "has always been there. But it takes courage, training, and heart to use it wisely. And you have all three." Lyra smiled. "I felt the forest listening to me. It was like they were helping me. I could feel their hearts." "That is your gift," Katerina said. "Humans are part of nature, and nature is part of humans. Your connection makes you stronger than any weapon." Mara, the youngest, looked thoughtful. "And I could see what might happen. It helped us survive. But I don't know if I can control it completely yet." Katerina knelt and placed her hands on Mara's shoulders. "You will. It takes time and trust, and you will always have your sisters to help guide you. Together you are stronger than you know." Rebuilding and reflection, the family spent the next few days repairing the valley. Trees that had been broken were magically restored by Katerina. Animals were cared for, and small streams were cleared of debris. The girls worked alongside their mother, learning that being a warrior was not just about fighting. It was also about protecting, healing, and caring for life. During the quiet moments, Katerina told them more about their heritage. "We come from a long line of humans who fought for survival. Your grandmother and her grandmother before her passed down gifts and knowledge. We are the Baba Yaga line, guardians, warriors, and protectors. Anya listened, amazed. All this power, it's in our blood? Yes, Katerina said. But power alone is nothing. Courage, wisdom, and love, that is what makes humans strong. That is what has allowed us to survive and thrive across the stars. Lyra and Mara nodded, feeling pride in their heritage. For the first time, they understood that being human meant more than living. It meant fighting for life, protecting others and never giving up no matter the odds. A new responsibility as the days passed. The girls trained more, growing confident in their abilities. Anya could now create shields that moved with incredible speed and precision. Lyra could summon animals and spirits over long distances, and Mara's visions of the future had grown sharper, allowing her to predict enemy movements more accurately. Katerina watched them with pride. The Empire will return, she said one evening. They will bring stronger weapons, more soldiers, and larger ships. But now you are ready, and when that day comes, humanity will have defenders who cannot be broken. The girls understood the weight of her words. They were no longer children playing in the forest. They were warriors in training, tasked with protecting their people, their home, and the ideals of humanity. Anya looked up at the stars, her voice quiet but determined. We will be ready. We won't let them win. Lyra nodded, her eyes shining. We will fight and we will protect everything we love. Mara smiled softly. And we will do it together. Katerina embraced them, feeling the strength and courage that radiated from her daughters. The legacy of the Baba Yaga would continue, stronger than ever. The Empire's shadow far above the forest, the Empire fleet regrouped. The commander who had faced Katerina and her daughters reported back. The humans, they are extraordinary. Their mother is beyond anything we expected, and the children, untrained yet powerful, survive. We cannot underestimate them. The High Council of the Empire met in a distant chamber. The humans are evolving too fast, one member said. We must strike again with full force or they will become a threat to the entire galaxy. But for now the humans had won this battle. The Empire retreated, leaving Velis in peace, and giving the family a precious window of time to grow stronger, train more, and prepare for what was coming. A celebration of humanity that evening. Katerina took her daughters to the edge of a cliff overlooking the valley. The stars sparkled above and the moon cast silver light on the forest below. The girls felt a sense of awe, of belonging, and of responsibility. You see this, my daughters? Katerina said. This is what we protect. Not just our home, but life itself. Humanity is not about conquering, it is about surviving, creating, and protecting. This is our gift, our duty, and our honor. Anya looked at the forest below, the trees swaying gently. We will protect it. We will protect the people, and we will fight the Empire if they return, Lyra added, and we won't do it alone. The forest, the animals, they are with us. We are never truly alone, Mara whispered. And we have each other. Together nothing can stop us. Katerina smiled, her eyes glowing with pride. Good, always remember this. Courage, unity, and heart. These are the true strengths of humans. The Empire may have technology, weapons, and armies, but they cannot match what we have inside. A legacy begins. The family returned to the valley, their hearts full of hope and determination. The girls trained under Katerina's guidance, learning to combine their powers in ways that made them nearly unstoppable. Anya's shields could protect them while Lyra's animals disrupted enemies and Mara's visions guided their movements. Together, they became a symbol, a shining example of human potential. News of the battle would eventually spread, inspiring humans on other planets to resist oppression and believe in their own strength. Katerina watched her daughters, knowing the future was uncertain. The Empire would not give up. But she also knew this. Humans had something no empire could take: courage, creativity, and the will to survive. And now, her daughters embodied that spirit. Anya, Lyra, and Mara looked up at their mother, seeing the legendary Baba Yaga not just as a warrior, but as a guide, a protector, and a source of hope. They knew that their journey had only begun, but they were ready to face whatever the galaxy threw at them. The promise that night, as the girls lay in their home under the forest canopy, Katerina whispered, "Remember, my daughters, humanity never bows, humanity never gives up, and humanity always rises." The girls held hands, feeling the warmth and strength of each other. They had faced an impossible enemy, discovered their powers, and begun to understand the true meaning of courage. Outside, the forest rustled softly, as if agreeing with Katerina's words. The stars above sparkled like countless eyes, watching over the humans who had survived, fought, and risen to meet their destiny. And somewhere far away, the Empire plotted, unaware that their greatest enemy was not machines, weapons, or fleets, but humans united, brave, and unstoppable. The girls smiled, knowing that whatever came next, they were ready. They were defenders of humanity, heirs to the legacy of the Baba Yaga, and symbols of hope for a galaxy that had never seen such courage. Velis was safe, for now. But the story of the three human sisters and their legendary mother had only just begun. The galaxy would remember them, not for the battles they fought, but for the human spirit they represented. Unyielding, fearless, and forever rising.